Okay, so today I'm going to be looking at something a little bit different. I'm going to be looking at the Insta360 Mic Pro. Now, the Mic Pro is a brand new microphone from Insta360, and it offers a few little unique features that differentiate it from the competition. Now, I'm pretty amazed at the amount of choice that we have these days. I'm showing my age here, but back when I was doing video production full-time, having a wireless microphone was a dream thing. In fact, if you wanted to have a reliable one that worked over certain frequencies, you had to pay a license for it. Now, the Mic Pro itself is larger than many of the others on the market, but its size serves two purposes. The first and foremost one is that you can put your own branding on the microphone. It has an e-ink display with which you can upload your own personal logos or any photograph that you care to mention, so that you have your own personalized branding when you appear on camera. That's one reason, but the second is that it's actually three microphones in one. It's not just designed to act as a lavalier mic like I'm using now. You can use it on top of a camera using the cold shoe mount. The clip that goes on the back of this microphone acts as the cold shoe mount point. With the three different microphones on it, you have a number of different pickup patterns, and that's one of the other unique things that sets this microphone apart from the competition. It also has 32-bit float recording internally. That's something that we come to expect now, and it's a really useful thing to have on these microphones. With the noise reduction, you can record a backup track in 32-bit float without any of the processing applied, so that can act as a really true safety track. And 32-bit float is almost impossible to peak the audio with. Obviously, there are limitations to how much loudness the actual microphone itself can take, but the actual 32-bit recording will ensure that it's pretty impossible to peak your audio in most normal circumstances. So you don't have to really worry about the levels if you mess up with your main recording. Now, the size of the microphone does mean that it can make clothing hang a bit more than other smaller microphones, but it depends obviously on how concerned you are about the branding, and that's going to be a big part of your decision process when it comes to deciding over whether to buy this microphone over one of the competition. Now, regarding this e-ink display, it's very easy to change over the image within the Insta360 app. It takes a few seconds and the display flashes a bit as it resets itself, and that's the only time that it uses power. Once the graphic or design has been uploaded to it, it's there and it doesn't use any power at all. It's quite surprising how easy it is to see in different lighting conditions. So even in bright sunshine, it's perfectly visible. There's no glare off it, and it's visible on camera. If you don't want to have a logo on it at any particular point, just upload a blank image to it, and that will ensure that the display is completely free of any kind of branding or logo design at all. Now, the Mic Pro does have a number of different pickup patterns. Some of them don't work in the way you might expect, and I had to read the fine description of how particular modes work to understand them. One in particular, the narrow focus mode, I misunderstood. It was described as a supercardioid pattern, which technically it is, but I was expecting it to reject the off-axis environmental sounds. In fact, what it's designed to do is it intelligently reduces the sound of chatter around you. So if you're in an environment and some other people are talking off-axis, it will filter those out, allowing your voice to come through, but it will leave the environmental sounds intact. Right, so this is with the camera using the super narrow focus mode, like a supercardioid shotgun mic, but it doesn't actually get rid of the external, environment sounds. The idea is that it keeps those while keeping focus on your voice. So it intelligently rejects voices from either side. So if I go to one side, we should hear my voice going indistinct. And then if I come back here, you should hear my voice come back into focus. My initial thoughts were I didn't think it was working correctly because I could still hear the environmental sounds, but actually the whole point of it is that it keeps those environmental sounds but filters out other people's voices. So in other words, you can't hear other people's chatter, but you can still hear the ambience around you as well as focusing on your voice. Now, the extension of that is that you have a cardioid pattern, which picks up a wider area. So you might have multiple people in front of the camera. And again, this will filter off chatter from the sides of the camera. So this is now with the microphone set to the cardioid pattern and the front bias, so it picks up a wider range than the narrow setting. But I've got the noise cancellation set off for this, so we'll do this and then I'll set it back to on again for the next test. You've also got a figure of 8 version, which means that if you're standing behind the camera, giving an interview or talking to someone, the microphone will pick up you as well as the person in front of you. Right, so this is the bi-directional mode, and this picks up sounds from in front of the microphone, but also behind it. So if I was going to do an interview or I was talking about a particular environment, you should be able to hear me quite clearly now as we look out over this lovely river. Now, these are all modes which are designed to be used on top of the camera, but if you want to use it as a lavalier mic, I'd recommend using the omnidirectional mode. Now, while these modes do what they say on the tin, I did find that the noise cancellation option was probably the better way to go. So even if you have it set up in the omnidirectional mode, you can use the noise cancellation mode. It has 2 settings, weak and strong, to reduce all of the environmental noise around you. Now, the weak setting will work better in an environment like this where I've got a few fans going and the lighting fans going. But if you want to record in a busy city, for example, you would use the strong noise cancellation. Now, it works really effectively. When you play the audio back, you can detect that processing. It's not like it's completely metallic or anything like that. It is very good. You can still tell that the audio is processed, though, to a degree if you listen carefully to it. But in general, it does do a really effective job. So if you need a quick recording in an environment that you just can't control, the noise cancellation here works really effectively. And if you have the 32-bit float backup also recording, that means you have that, which you can use in packages like DaVinci Resolve, and you can manipulate the audio a bit better from that 32-bit float start. So you can either use DaVinci Resolve's inbuilt noise reduction, or you could mix in the 32-bit audio with the noise cancelled onboard recording, so you can just bring that a little bit of environment into your sound recording. Okay, so this is with the microphone in the omnidirectional mode, and you can hear all of the environment around. I'm next to a busy road, and you should be able to hear that. Now, if you are in an environment like this, you can kick in the noise cancellation, and in this environment, this strong one works best, and that sounds like this. So this is the omnidirectional mode with the noise cancellation set to strong. I've got a busy road next to me, so hopefully you shouldn't be able to hear much of that. We'll see how it is when I get back and play back the footage, but in my previous tests of this, it has worked quite well. With minimal sort of processing effects going on in terms of the audibility of them. So yeah, let's see how that turns out. There are also a couple of voice tone settings. So you have the standard one, and then you have a full mode, which makes your voice sound a bit more bassy and a bit more lower end to it. And then you have a bright setting, which makes the voice sound a bit more airy and light. And I quite like that setting. It's quite a nice sound. So now I've got the microphone mounted like a lavalier mic. I'm using the omnidirectional mode, and I've got the noise cancellation set to strong, but I've got the voice tone preset set to the standard mode. So again, this is the omnidirectional mode with the noise cancellation set to strong, and I've set the voice tone preset to the full setting. So this should make things sound maybe a bit bassier, I guess, a bit fuller in the voice. So we'll see how that sounds. And again, the same setup as before with the noise cancellation set to strong, but this time I've got the voice tone preset set to bright. So this should make the voice sound a bit airier and I guess a bit more breathier, I guess. Is that the right word? than it does on the standard setting. I quite like this setting from what I've heard before. Now I do like that kind of airiness to a voice. But yeah, we'll see how that sounds with all this noise going on and the noise cancellation set to strong on top of it. So if you're not using this microphone natively with one of the Insta360 cameras, and you're using the receiver, the USB receiver, you can connect 4 separate microphones over it. And I have double checked this time after messing up on one of my other reviews. You can connect 4 separate Insta360 Mic Pros to the one receiver. Another interesting feature is the timecode sync. There's timecode in and out on the 3.5mm jack, and the receiver can actually act as a standalone timecode device to sync up other devices that are timecode capable as well. So overall, in general use, I have found the microphone easy to use, easy to set up, and I like the recording that it gives. But what are the downsides to it? Okay, so first of all, there is the charging case, and it's got an interesting design. It's quite an unconventional design and slightly un-Insta360, if that makes any sense. I prefer the more functional design of some of the other makes, but it works well. You can put the receiver in with the USB adapter plugged into it, so that's good, and you've got space to put all the different clips and the magnets to be held in place. The big drawback to it, though, is that you can't put the microphones into it with the windshield attached. Now, DJI made this mistake in their earlier microphone models, and then they rectified it for later versions. I'd like to see Insta360 consider this for any new charging case. Perhaps they can make a new one that can take the microphones with the windshield attached, because if you're going from location to location, it's just fiddly to keep having to take that windshield on and off all the time. I just want to be able to put it in the box, close it, and that's it. Talking of opening and closing the box, I did find it a little bit awkward to open. The way that the latch and the hinge on it is designed is just a little bit awkward. Another drawback, and this is something that perhaps can be sorted in a firmware because it's slightly perplexing to me. If you have multiple microphones connected to the receiver, you can adjust some settings individually for each mic and some settings you can't. So, for example, you can set whether an individual microphone is muted, and you can set its individual noise cancellation settings, or you can start and stop recording individually on each microphone as well. One thing I should point out is that you can sync the recording up, so when you start recording on an Insta360 camera, the microphone will also start recording the 32-bit float internal recording as well. I just need to note that. But the problem with the receiver is that you can't set each microphone's individual pickup pattern. So an example might be where you had one microphone mounted to the cold shoe mount of a camera and you wanted that set to one of the shotgun modes, and then you were having another microphone used as a lavalier mic. You can't set up the different pickup patterns for it. You can either have all of them as omnidirectional, all of them as a supercardioid, or all of them in the narrow focus mode, and so on. You can't set each of the microphones individually using the receiver. And also with the likes of the Insta360 Ace Pro, you can only have one microphone connected to it at any given time. But you can set all of the settings for it within the Ace Pro, which is, that's good, that's convenient, that works really nicely. But just with the receiver, the USB receiver, I just wish you could set up the individual pickup patterns for each individual mic. Lastly, if you are going to buy the GoPro Mission 1 Pro, this microphone and receiver combo does not work very well with it at all. For some reason, it creates a pretty garbled sounding audio. So I've now got the Mic Pro set up for the narrow voice focus mode, so it acts very much like a shotgun microphone. So we'll see how well that's picking it up. I don't know why that is. I know my Mission 1 Pro is not at fault because I've tried the DJI Mic 3 with it, works absolutely fine. And I know there isn't a fault with the Insta360 microphone because I've tried that and the receiver with other cameras, and again, it works absolutely fine. This did come up in my live stream about the Mission 1 Pro, and I think that it might be something to do with the way Insta360 has implemented the USB audio standard that for some reason doesn't play nicely with the Mission 1. GoPro is looking into it. I would hope that Insta360, despite the rivalry between the two companies, because let's face it, they're not on each other's Christmas card list, I would hope they would look into it as well, because some people might want the branding ability of this microphone to be able to use with the Mission 1 Pro, and I hope it's just something that can be sorted out with a firmware upgrade of some sort. So the question is, should you buy this over any alternatives such as a DJI Mic 3 or one of the options from Rode. I think a lot of it, as I said, is going to come down to how important the branding ability is for you, and also whether you want to exclusively use your microphone as a lavalier mic, or you want to use it mounted to a camera as well. Those are the main considerations here. The noise cancellation on this is better than the DJI mic, I find. But then for the most part, when I'm recording personally, I tend to like my audio pretty raw, and I like to deal with that in post rather than having it baked in. But the fact that you can record that 32-bit float backup alongside the processed file, is useful and does ensure that you have that to hand as well. So now I've got the microphone mounted like a lavalier mic. I'm using the omnidirectional mode, and I've got the noise cancellation set to strong, but I've got the voice tone preset set to the standard mode. So now I've got the microphone mounted like a lavalier mic. I'm using the omnidirectional mode, and I've got the noise cancellation set to strong, but I've got the voice tone preset set to the standard mode. Now, the Insta360 Mic Pro is slightly more expensive than the DJI mic system. For example, the 2 transmitter combo with the 1 receiver for the Insta360 is £279, whereas the DJI Mic 3 with the same kind of combo is £215. So I think it's going to come down to the importance you place upon the branding ability of the microphone, or whether you want something a bit smaller, like maybe Insta360's own Mic Air system. But I think this is a unique system. I think it has some unique features to it that do separate it out from the competition. So if you are looking for a wireless microphone that does something a little bit different, then by all means consider it. The audio quality is really good. It's very flexible, the way that you can set it up and mount it. And as I say, with all the different pickup pattern options, you might value the smaller size of alternative microphones over this one. And as I say, there are some of the limitations, such as not being able to put it in the charge case with the windshield on and that kind of stuff. It's all small stuff, but it all does add up a little bit. But I have enjoyed using it, and it's pretty funky being able to change the graphics on it or have a photograph on it. But I have recorded this entire review with the microphone. I have done some post-processing on it as well, because I do that with all of my videos. But I'll let you be the judge of it. And obviously, I intersperse some clips throughout this review as well. But let me know if you do want any raw audio clips from it that you can look at and evaluate yourself. I do want to start uploading some more original files from the products that I do review, so that you can look at them and make your own evaluations as well before deciding whether or not to buy them. But let me know if that's something that you would be interested in. And if you've made it this far through the video, thank you very much. And if you like it, please do like and consider subscribing to the channel. And I do have affiliate links. I make a commission on those, but it's at no added cost yourself. But if you are thinking of purchasing any products, then it would be hugely appreciated if you use my link. But no pressure or anything like that. But yeah, I will see you all in the next video.